Hey everybody, Nitzan Mosery here, the Traveling Investor, and welcome to another show, the Traveling Investor Show. And of course, I'm your host, Nitzan Mosery. And let's not forget to say hello to Master Yoda, always watching in the back. And we all know what Master Yoda says, do or do not, there is no try. And on our show, the tagline is master your mind, body, and wallet. And I like to always bring people to the show and interview them that can add value to you, my listeners, whether it's learning how to perfect and master your mind, your mindset, your body with health, fitness and so forth, and nutrition, and your wallet through all types of investing, be it real estate investing, crypto, stocks, affiliate marketing, whatever it is. We're going to bring people on that are experts in that field and share with you information and knowledge and really dig deep so that you have information so that you can go out and live life on your terms. My goal for this show and for what I'm doing is to help you build your business that will revolve around your lifestyle rather than creating a lifestyle that revolves around your business or your job. And with that, today I have an incredible guest. Her name is Dwan Bent-Twyford, and she is amazing. She's been involved in real estate for over 30 years. She's flipped over 2,000 deals herself. And just before we got on the air, we were talking how Dwan right now she owns and she's flipping a town. She's renovating a town, and we're going to talk about that on the show as well. But let me quickly introduce Dwan. She's America's most sought after real estate investor. She started out as a broke single mom who'd been fired from Denny's. Does that ring a bell? Can anybody relate to that? You've got enough meat at the end of you got more meat at the end of your month and you don't know what to do. Well, Dwan was there just like a lot of us. She now heads up Investors Edge University, a company that specializes in training new and seasoned investors in a wide range of real estate investing techniques through live workshops, weekly webinars, a member site, coaching, and seminars. And as I've mentioned, she's flipped over 2,000 deals herself and is more than qualified to share her vast knowledge of real estate investing with America. She's also affectionately known as the Queen of Shortsales. And get this, she's considered to be the nation's #1 expert on short sales and foreclosures. She's written 3 bestsellers: Short Sale Pre-Foreclosure Investing, How to Sell a House When It's Worth Less Than the Mortgage, and her most recent New York Times bestseller was written with Steve Forbes, Successonomics. Wow, that's awesome. She's highly sought after and has been featured on Fox and Friends, MSNBC, Naomi's Good Morning, Colorado and Company, and many other TV, radio, podcasts, and print medias. This woman has a lot of information, so I suggest taking a pen and a paper and taking notes and listening to what Dwan has to say in our conversation. Dwan is also a top-rated podcast called The Most Dwanderful Real Estate Podcast Ever. Gotta love the name. In a market dominated by men, Dwan has certainly made her mark. Her goal never changes: to make a difference in the lives of others. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on Dwan Bent-Twyford. Dwan, how are you?
Hey, I'm so good, Nitzan. Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, it's awesome. So we just realized that we're a couple of miles away from each other.
I know. We could have had lunch on the avenue.
That's right. That's right. That's fantastic. So, all right. Great story. You were a single mom. You were fired from Denny's. You were broke. What happened next? Tell us the story of who you were before you became the Queen of Shortsales.
Oh, gosh, I tell you, it's just so funny how things work out. Well, you're in Florida, so you've been here a while, right?
I've been here for about 11, 12 years.
Okay. Do you remember the big Denny's down on Oakland Park Boulevard? The big one that everybody used to go to after all the clubbing. I worked at that Denny's.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I got fired on third shift in the middle of the night. I'm thinking, who gets fired from Denny's in the middle of the night? So basically, I just had a string of super endless jobs. And I got married. I had a baby. I was 30. I was like, all right, I'm going to be like Susie Homemaker, be the Girl Scout mom, the homeroom mom. And then my husband and I went through an unexpected separation when my daughter was only 8 months old.
Oh.
So having spent like a decade waiting tables and just doing, dumb jobs, I was really faced with a moment of, do I go back to work? Do I start something on my own? And my main thing was just, how am I going to raise my daughter without having to put her in daycare? And I always like to say, nothing against people that use daycare. I waited until I was 30. I really wanted to do those things, the homeroom mom, the girl, the field trip mom. I wanted to be that person. And my dreams were squelched on me right there. And I was just looking for something I could do where I could work from home. I could raise my daughter, and real estate investing found me.
How did it find you?
Well, I was looking, it's with people today, they don't understand. Like in 1990, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have pager, we didn't have the internet. So if you needed a job, it was in the classified section of the newspaper. Mm-hmm. So I was always looking at a newspaper, going to all these interviews, and everything was multi-level marketing. And so now I'm going to all these meetings, and I'm seeing kind of the same people. We're all looking for something. And I met some people that were rehabbing houses. So they're like, well, we buy houses, we fix them up, and then we sell them. So my mind heard, we're going to buy a house, we're going to decorate it, like fix it up by decorating it, and I can sell it, make a profit. And I thought, oh gosh, decorating houses for a living? I can do that. I love to decorate. And so I literally I went to the courthouse in Palm Beach County. So like, the area in Palm Beach County, and we used to handwrite all the foreclosure. They used to use that map book and go find deals. And I found my first house. I put the deal together, and I made $22,000 on my first deal.
Wow, that's
and that was a lot more money than I have to make in tips, for sure.
Sure.
And I was like, okay, all right, fixing up houses, but that's not decorating. So I learned the hard way that rehabbing and decorating are not even remotely on the same playing field. And but after I did that first house, I really liked it. I liked the freedom. I liked working. I liked the physical work. I liked my daughter being with me. And I just kept doing a deal and a deal and a deal and a deal. And now 30 years have gone by, and I've done over 2,000 deals.
Wow. And
writing books and all kinds of crazy stuff. And it's so hard to just think back to that first house. I just didn't even know what I was doing, like, at all.
Did you, when you got started, did you have someone, a mentor, a coach, someone to guide you, to help you with all the pitfalls? So how did you learn? What were you, how did you know where to look, what to look for? What were the pitfalls?
Seat of my pants, for real. We didn't have a RIA group even. Like, RIA is the Real Estate Investing Associations. There wasn't even a RIA in South Florida yet. That didn't come to like the mid-90s over in Boca. The first one down here was in Boca, which is still running. And so I knew enough from these people, like, to look for people that were in foreclosure. Okay, so in foreclosure, I can fix up their house, I can sell their house. Again, thinking I'm just gonna custom make some blinds, put up some picture, put some plans, like put some furniture, nothing like that. And so I was just going up and handwriting all the foreclosures and mapping it out. And I was going baby on hip, and I was going door knocking. So I found the first woman in Boynton Beach. Was my first deal, was in Boynton Beach. And this woman agreed to work with me. And she moved out, and I moved in. And I lived in the house. I rehabbed the house. I sold it. We did a profit share on the deal. We both made good money. And I thought, hey, that was fun. I was caught off guard for sure, because I didn't know how to fix things. So I took Home Depot classes. The Home Depot on Fulbright in 95. I took 2,000 classes over there. Those people would see me coming, and they would like run from me. Because they knew if I grabbed one guy, I was like, okay, listen, here's what I'm doing next. I need you to tell me how to do this. So the guys at Home Depot were the ones that really taught me how to rehab.
Wow, that's amazing. What was your mindset like? Were you going in there and saying, I'll try it, see what happens, and if not, I'll move on to something else? Or did you have the mindset of, I got to do this, there's really not much else to do?
Well, I was living in Florida already. So I had moved down to Florida after high school. So I had been living down here since I was basically 19.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, I'm like a full decade later. And I really like Florida. My family's from Ohio. And when my husband and I split up, they were like, oh, you can come back to Ohio. You can live in your old bedroom. And I was like, gosh darn, moving back to Ohio, living in my own bedroom with my parents, just did not seem, I just couldn't do it. I thought, honestly, I'd rather just take my chances and go in the ocean, just pray a shark would eat me. I just couldn't do it. And I thought, well, all right, so it's time to put on my big girl pants and I'm going to find something and I'm just going to make it work. And if it doesn't, I can go back and get a job. But I knew enough to know that at 30, if I got into a job to support my child, I would probably be locked into that job till she was 18.
Right.
So I'm thinking ahead, okay, I'd be 50. Now, when you're 30, you still think 50 is really old.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So anybody that's listening, if you're like 25, 30, you're like, wow, 50 is old. I thought, wow, I would be an old person having this job. Because, when you get to be 60, you're like, oh, 70 doesn't really sound that bad anymore.
Yeah.
And I just knew, I knew enough to know that I could probably figure it out. I had a lot of gumption. And I didn't want to just wake up one day and be what I thought would be an old woman and working. And my daughter was raised and I missed everything. So I figured worst case, I could get a job. But if I didn't branch out right now, if I didn't have anything going on, I probably wouldn't take that step.
Right. Yeah, that's so true. So many people get caught up with that fear of what if it doesn't work? What if what if I fail? And then they don't do it. And right there, they fail.
They fail immediately. It's like, even if you fail, you still succeeded because at least you did it.
That's right. Even, when I look at it, when you fail, it's like failing forward.
Yes.
You're still moving forward.
Yes. I say it all the time. I say, people, listen, if you fall flat on your face, at least you're 6 feet ahead of where you were a minute ago.
That's right. But if you never did anything, you're still in the same spot.
I mean, now I can't even imagine at my age, especially now, that I would have had a job this whole time and let somebody else tell me what to do, make my hours, tell me when I can vacation, limit my income. Because when you work for yourself, there is no real ceiling. I became a millionaire. And if you would have told me when I was 19, I'd be a millionaire from flipping houses, I would have been like, no, that's never happening.
Right.
And so I just really, I have always enjoyed the freedom, working for myself, raising my kid, I did all those things my whole life, And I didn't get remarried till she was 13. So it wasn't like I was single for a minute. I was single for 13 years, working, buying rentals, and just making it happen. Mostly, I think, because I was afraid to be broke again. And I was afraid to have to get a job. And then after a while, you're just like, okay, I can do this. But I did not have the I can do this gumption immediately.
Right.
It took some time.
And what's amazing is that the fear of not being successful, the fear of having a job is what moved you into where you were today. It wasn't necessarily the glamorous life or the idea of, hey, I want to be a millionaire. That's what I want to strive for. Is more kind of the opposite, where you're saying, I can't fail because I don't want to get a job. And it's funny because I have friends who are my age, they're 50s, a little bit older than me. And when they were about 45, 47, 48, they lost their jobs.
Yes.
Their businesses shut down.
Yes.
They were in the CD manufacturing business. They were in videos. They were in all these types of businesses that just disappeared overnight because of technology.
Yeah.
And here they are, midlife. What are they going to do?
Well, exactly. I have so many people my age. My family's from Ohio. So having graduated high school in the late 70s, Ohio was a really big General Motors place. So my parents, and I know that they meant well for me, they were like, you should graduate high school, you should get married, you should have kids, you should get a factory job and work for the factory, and you can retire when you're 60 and, work for the man. Right. And so I did that. My first job out of high school, I went and got a factory job. And I remember only being so this is June in Ohio,
Mhm.
in the Midwest, in a factory. I've never been inside of one. I don't realize you stand all day, you're on concrete. There's no air conditioning.
Oh,
And I'm only there a month, and I was thinking, like, why on God's earth would my family want this for me? But they came from Tennessee, and they were really poor. They didn't, they grew up part of their lives without electricity and running water and using outhouses. So
mm,
I get that that was better, but Lord have mercy, I was in that job for just a month, and I was like, oh, for the love of God, I can't do this until I retire. I mean,
sure.
why would you
Yeah.
want? But but that was just sort of I was my in Ohio. It was not go to college. It was like get out of school, get a factory job, and you'll retire, and your life will be great.
Right.
Thank
That's,
God that did not happen to me. And if you
mhm.
did that, listen, kudos for you, man. But so many people our age are getting laid off, and it's like, hey, if you can hire someone 60 or someone 20, and the 20-year-old will work for half, this person over here is really having a hard time getting work.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a scary thing. People ask, my friends and people that I know that have jobs and have that quote unquote security. They ask me, they say, don't, how do you live with the risk or the insecurity of not having that constant paycheck, of not, you don't know when you're going to flip your next house or when you're going to close on your next multifamily. That's a big risk. I said, what's
Yes.
even riskier is spending 40 years of your life building somebody else's dream or empire. And then one day they can kick your ass out and say, thanks for doing that.
Yeah. I mean, my dad worked for the power company for 40 years. And when he retired, he got the gold watch and a little thank you thing. And I was like, 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
He got like a watch.
A watch. That's right. So he can count how many more minutes he has until he's done.
Oh my God. I'm just so happy that, and I always tell people, like, listen, if you're doing that, you're in a factory, you work at a restaurant, God bless you. But honestly, there's such a world out there if you can just get outside yourself.
Right. Absolutely. So what does your investing business look like today? Are you still flipping houses? Where are you finding them? Are you doing other types of real estate?
It's funny. My husband is from a little town called Clinton, Iowa. So it's a very little Midwestern. We're both like Midwestern kids. And his high school has a reunion every 5 years. Like they're wrong. They're like 200 people come every 5 years. There was a massive reunion. My high school had like a 10-year, a 20-year, and a 40. Nothing. Where it's like so lame. But he's from this little town, and every year we're going back, and I'm seeing this little downtown. And it's one of those little downtowns that if you saw it in the day, everything was happening. It was the place to go. If you see it now, it's like a ghost town.
Mm-hmm.
So we're back there, and this is this is only like 2 years ago. It's recent. And, we're wholesaling, we're flipping, we're rehabbing them. We've done 2,000 deals. It's all going on. And we go back to this little town, and I said, this town needs some love. Like, somebody needs to come in here and start fixing up all these boarded up buildings. And I took the first step. I was like, let's just call the downtown and see what they're doing. Well, that was the end of the story because we got involved. We have purchased 15 buildings, which makes us officially own 1/3 of the entire downtown. And we started just fixing these buildings and putting in little stores, and like the bustle is happening. It's like Atlantic Avenue. If you remember way back when Atlantic was a ghost town, and now it's like the Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
So we're sort of doing the same thing, just on a tinier scale. But yeah, we own a third. I don't know, we bought a building, then we bought another one. They're like, oh, one more would be good. And then like this little lady said, hey, I've got 3. Or like, okay. And then the next one said, I've got 3. Or like, okay. And pretty soon I was like, Bill, we have 15 buildings. Like, what are we gonna do with 15 buildings? So we are just rehabbing the crap out of them and renting out the spaces, opening little businesses, and this little thing is bustling.
That's awesome. So let me ask you this. Share with our listeners, people don't have a lot of money to go out and buy houses and put money into it to renovate and whatnot. How would talking to someone who's, fresh off the treadmill of the job, and they want to get involved in real estate and they want to start flipping, where would you suggest they start how would you suggest they go about finding the deals, maybe finding some money to help them buy, renovate?
That Nisa, that is really actually is a really good question. I mean, they're all good questions, but that is the thing that holds people back because they think from watching HGTV that fixing and flipping is basically doing an entire house, tearing out the walls, like is this gigantic thing. But I tell people to wholesale, find homeowners in distress, which is all public record, get the house under contract. You only have to give a $10 deposit. And then you can wholesale that house to a rehab or a landlord and let them take on the financial risk. You just make the assignment money in between. And that is actually how I started making real money. I was, when I first started, I was rehabbing. I would move into the house, sell it, move into another one. My daughter was little, move into the next one, sell it, move. So I lived in these houses, rehabbed inside these houses. And I was doing it about 5 years before I discovered wholesaling. Like, okay, get her a contract. I could sell it to a rehabber and not be the rehabber.
Right.
And everything changed for me when I started wholesaling houses. All of a sudden, I'm making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. I'm making, the next thing I'm making $1 million. I was like, oh my God, how is this possible? And I mean, I have barely high school, no real estate license still today, no formal education. I had terrible credit back then. So I lost my house, my husband, my car, all gone. And it changed my life. So I tell all new people, especially if you're new and you have money or credit or anything, wholesale houses, because you make, especially, anywhere really, a $200,000 house, you average about $20,000 a deal. So how many of those do you need to do to replace your income of your job?
Right.
So, and wholesaling does not require money or credit. So if you have no money, no credit, and everything in your life sucks, you're in my boat, and I made it happen.
Right. So you just go out, go to the city hall. Right now, there are websites, I guess, you can go and you can find distressed properties, people that are in foreclosure, short sales, whatnot, bankruptcies.
That's actually the county courthouse. All the courthouses are online now, and you can just go on to any courthouse in your county, and all the foreclosures, the probates, the divorces. It's all public record. And you just reach out to those people. Now, of course, back then I used to go door knocking and talk to people. I understand a lot of people hear that and are like, well, I have to door knock, I'm not doing it. But you can mail postcards, you can find almost everybody on Facebook. And you can reach out to a homeowner just from direct messaging them off Facebook, really. And there's Craigslist is another place. There's so many people on Craigslist listing their houses. They're trying to sell for sale by owner that are in trouble. So there's just tons of free information of people that are in a distressed situation. So I specifically, for me personally, I've always worked the distressed side, opposed to like bank owned. I've always tried to work when the homeowner still owns the house to try to help them get a fresh start too.
Right.
And work that side of the industry, there's unlimited. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of deals.
Right. And what's great with working directly with the sellers is that the new buyer can get a nice house at a deep discount because you're probably selling the house at what the owner owns on the mortgage rather than trying to get that extra profit for them.
Yeah. That's the thing. And if you find a homeowner and they kind of owe what it's worth, then we just do a short sale. We contact the bank, we get the bank to discount what's owed, and then I can wholesale it to rehabbers and landlords, and I can make 20 grand, and then they can fix it up and they can sell it retail. And as you know, retail, any house you put on the market gets like 1,000 offers in the first day.
Right.
Things are selling like hotcakes right now, and that's the whole country. That's not just where you and I are at right now. That is nationwide.
What markets are you actively investing and flipping in right now?
So we live in Florida and Colorado back and forth. And since we're so involved in this town, anything that we wholesale right now, we're doing it from Clinton, Iowa. So we're wholesaling other buildings to other investors to kind of get our town grooving again. There's so many houses, like in Clinton, you can buy a $50,000 house. Wow. I know in Florida, this is not possible. You can buy a $50,000, 3-bed, 2-bath, $50,000 nice house that will rent for $1,100 a month.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's crazy. So we're buying rentals there too, because How can you not?
Yeah, it just makes sense.
House is like brings in $1,000 a month. That's crazy. So I tell people all the time, don't just get stuck with the fact that you need to buy in your backyard. There's a lot of areas, and especially in Midwestern areas, where houses are super cheap comparatively, compared to like Denver and Florida. I mean, down here in Florida, there's no $50,000 houses left, but they were when I started.
Right. Yeah,
they were.
absolutely.
There's so many 50, 60, 75,000. I mean, I did a gajillion of them down here.
Yeah, I remember when we moved to Florida in 2009 and I was flipping houses here in Lake Worth. I was buying houses, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, concrete block for $16,000.
Yeah. I've done Lake Worth, just all around here, like all over the place, all the way up to like 45th Street, is all over, and you could get super cheap houses.
Yep, not anymore.
No,
not here. Not here.
That's why I tell people, don't be afraid to buy outside of your area. And I know it sounds scary, but there's property managers everywhere. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, and would you suggest that if someone is buying outside of their backyard, would you suggest them they going to that new market and investigating it, or could they really do it via just a computer?
Well, they really truly can do it via the computer. They can. But if someone thinks like, hey, you know what, I'm going to, actually, you can just Google opportunity zones. So you can Google opportunity zones. It'll list all the states. Click a state that you're interested in, and then just start clicking all the little cities and towns and look for a really great opportunity zone. And you find a really great area, and if you think like, hey, I may want to buy 3 or 4 or 5 properties in that area, it's probably worth a business trip out there to check out what people are doing for work, what the good areas, what are the bad areas. Like this. But if you're just, wholesaling houses, I mean, shoot, man, you can get a house under contract anywhere, and you can put it on your Facebook page, and someone will buy it.
How would you recommend people finding the end buyer when you're flipping? Right. So we talked about going and finding the foreclosures and the public and whatnot. How would a new person go out and say, okay, you know what? I can go to any courthouse website and I can find the deal, right? I could even put it on the contract, but who do I flip it to?
Well, that's one of the great things about these RIA groups, and RIAs, real estate investors associations. There are so many RIA groups in every city in the country. And there's on Meetup. I mean, there are so many Facebook groups. There's so many groups like that. So I feel like if you want to try to get a house on a contract, and basically you're wholesaling the contract, there's a RIA group in every city. And most RIA groups now are still meeting online. So instead of you going to the local RIA group in Boca, the local RIA group, you can get online and join 50 RIA groups around the country. And most of them will allow you free memberships, especially right now. And you can put your house up on there, and people will call you. Everybody you need, real estate agents, title companies, attorneys, everyone you need is at a RIA group. Everybody.
Awesome. So, hey, listeners, take note. All right. We just gave you a surefire way of finding a house, putting it on the contract, and finding the end buyer. And all you got to do is take a little bit from in between. That's your fee. And you can make money without ever owning a piece of property.
And that's the key. People get a house under contract, like, well, I have to find money to buy it. It's like, no, wholesale it to a rehab or a landlord. They have money. That's what they do. So they have money, so you don't even really need the money. And I wholesaled, I mean, gosh, I don't know. I wholesaled a couple hundred houses when I first started. And even today, to this day, now, 30 years later, I still give homeowners a $10 deposit. If they balk at it, find a different deal. There's a million people out there that need help.
Absolutely. Just go and find the next person. That's great. All right. Let's talk about, Jerry Rodriguez says amazing content. Thank you, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry.
What were some of your biggest mistakes going into or doing real estate? Because, a lot of people you know, and I want to preface this because, you know, we bring people on the shows, and you have your podcast as well, and everybody's talking, well, I did this deal and I did that deal, and it's all, you know, wonderful and rosy and it's amazing, but they never see the struggles. They never see the, you know, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God situations. And, you know, they think it's just, you know, all roses and everything, but right. But,
I'm just laughing because I have 3 deals that popped into my head that were disasters. So one house I bought, and this was a house like in the first, it was like within my first 2 years. So I was still green, you know. And again, I didn't have the only thing that ever was on television was Carlton Sheets.
mm-hmm.
Carlton Sheets videos. So there were no trainers, there were no RIA groups, there weren't things that. So I didn't have really anything to compare to. But I bought one house here in Florida, and I will never forget. I was in the house and there was bugs everywhere. So I'm just like, you know, I'm gonna have to put a tent on this house. This house is a mess. Well, they were termites. Oh. I did not know what termites were. And this house ended up with so much termite damage. Even all the trusses in the roof, every inch of that house was eaten up with termites. Oh, so I'm having to put sister beams in the roofs. I'm having to redo the drywall. Even the kitchen cabinets were just decimated by termite damage. Now, this was a house I probably would have made $30,000, $40,000 because I was fixing it up. And it had so much work that I ended up making $2,500. So I ended up putting like $30,000 into this house. Now, granted, at that moment, I had the money, but I was going to do like a quick $10,000, just kind of clean it up. No, it was destroyed. It was destroyed. And I bought another one, and this is all like in the same year or two. I found another house that had a bunch of fire damage. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, the bank came in, they redid the electrical. I was like, oh, this looks good. Well, I did not know that what's worse than fire damage is the water damage, putting the fire out. Every inch, every piece of that drywall in that house was like powder because it was soaked. Mm-hmm. And I knew nothing about that. And that was another one that I barely made $1. And I bought one that, and I actually bought this one without doing any title work on it because it was like, hey, this deal came up. If you can close on it tomorrow, you can have it. It was real cheap. It was up in West Palm, $11,000. I'm like, it's 11 grand. I'll buy it. You know, at this time I have a little bit of money. So I go back to the house about a week later to look at it and assess it and see what I'm going to do with it. And it's gone. I'm driving them down the street. I'm like, okay, maybe it's on the terrace. You know how the terraces, the circles, the avenues. I'm driving around. I can't find this house. So I go back to where I think the house is. I have the address. And I'm looking at this house. I'm looking at the next address. I see a vacant lot. And I keep going. My house got demoed. It had a demo order on it. It was completely gone, demoed to the ground with a big piece of plywood that the demo guys spray painted in orange, the address. And then the city sent me a bill for $5,000 for the demo work.
Oh no!
And I was like, "How did that happen?" Like, and I was like, "Oh, you said you would close right away, and I had to close, and you didn't do title work, and we didn't find that." And I was like, "Okay, I have got to start doing more background search on these deals." So it was not all roses, but that was one of my funniest ones because I just remember thinking like, "Oh, I'm on the wrong street." Just driving, trying to find this house, and it was demo. It was gone. Demo order.
So what I'm hearing is, guys, do your research, do your due diligence.
Never close on a house without a title search, even if it's like, hey, it's got to close by Friday. Or I don't care if you have to pay extra. Never do a house without doing some title work. And if it's got anything, if there's a bug flying around in the house, have somebody look at it because termite. I didn't know. I don't know what termite is. I do now. But I learned a lot of lessons along the way because I didn't know. I didn't have anyone to train me on things like that. Mm-hmm. So I made a lot of bonehead mistakes.
Sure, absolutely. But that's how we learn, right? We learn from our mistakes.
It's how we learn, and they're funny to talk about. You know, now of course it's funny to talk about. But the house that got demoed, I was just like. I was so embarrassed. At that point, I was investing 5, 6, 7 years. Like, I should know better. And I thought, oh, my gosh, what? So it was a humbling moment.
That's great. That's great. Absolutely, right? Sometimes
so it's not all like sunshine and rainbows. there are things, but the nice thing now, Nitzan, is that there are so many people like you and like me that can share the things that we've done, and we can also work with people and teach them and train them things to look for,
Right.
so that they don't do that.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So let's get into that.
I've never had one student in 25 years that bought a house with a demo order, but they say, do your due diligence.
Mm-hmm.
So you can take your mistakes and hide them, or you can just tell the world and say, hey, look, I do dumb stuff too. And then you can help people not do those things.
That's right. So you also created a coaching program.
Yeah, we do a lot of mentoring. I just really like mentoring people, because real estate investing completely changed the entire trajectory of my life. Like, everything about my life changed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there was nothing special about me. I mean, I was fired from all my jobs. I was a complete drug addict in my 20s. I was a crazy woman. And it's like, listen, if a girl that was like fired from Denny's in the middle of the night can turn around and make that happen, I promise you that you can too. So I am very big into coaching and mentoring people, because I really believe in working for yourself, first of all. Like you said, instead of making your boss rich for 40 years, why not make yourself and your family and your generations?
That's right.
Keep that in the family.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really big, and I also really like trying to help people wean off their job and get into full-time investing. So I like to help people make that transition, because it is scary to actually quit your job, especially if you have kids and you got a house, you got paying your mortgage, and you're like, oh, I don't know, it sounds like fun, but I can't do it. But you can do it.
How long do you think it would take someone to transition from their job flipping houses to, where they could actually quit their job and do this full time?
That is a great question. One of my things, it's one of my superpowers, is like helping people transition. So this is how I have people do it. And I know there's a lot of different like guru type people that have all different schools of thought. But so let's just say an example. Someone says, hey, listen, I make $1,000 a week and I have to have my job. I have to pay my bills. I'm like, okay, can you live on $1,000 a week? Yes, I can. Okay, so here's what you do. We wholesale 3 houses. You make 20 grand a deal. You put it in the bank. You quit your job. And now you pay yourself $1,000 a week. You don't pay off all your bills. You don't pay off all your credit cards. You don't pay off all your car. You don't go buy a bunch of stupid stuff. Now you put yourself on a budget, because you're already paying your bills, and it might be tight. So you put yourself on that budget, and now you've got 40 hours a week to invest in real estate. So it does not take very many months to where you've got 4, 5, 6, 7 deals, and that money's in the bank. And then you give yourself a raise. Now you take $2,000 a week. And then when you feel like you have, you know what you're doing, you've got some money, maybe you give yourself $3,000 a week. Mm-hmm. But if you can live on whatever you're living on, and you can put 6 months of money in the bank and not want to pay everything off, but keep yourself on the same exact budget, you can leave here and go here and still know, okay, I have 6 months in the bank. If I can't make it happen in 6 months, I can go back and get a job. And honestly, if you've got 40 hours a week and all your bills are paid, and you're investing for 6 months and you can't make anything happen, that's a sign from the universe that you should just quit.
Right. It's a sign that you should go get your job back.
Go get your job back. So most people are like, oh no, I'm going to pay off my car, pay off my credit card, and pay off. But all the time you're doing that, you're trying to work your full-time job. You're trying to do investing on the side. And when everything gets tight, especially your time, people stop the investing and keep the job because it's secure. So keep the money, quit the job, budget, and then give yourself a raise.
Absolutely.
And it's really not hard to do. Most people can wholesale 2 houses and quit their job. Sure.
That's what I tell people as well. If you want, you can flip multifamily as well.
Yeah. Commercial, multifamily, storage units, vacant land. You can wholesale everything. We're wholesaling buildings.
That's right.
Buildings.
I flipped a $27 million multifamily property. I flipped a 27-unit multifamily property, made $80,000 on that flip. Yeah. So you can do it. You just got to go out and take action. You just got to go out and do it, right?
And I tell people, don't be afraid of the zeros, because like you made $80,000 on a deal, it's $27 million. Most people would see a $27 million property and be like, It's like, but what if it was 27,000?
Right.
You do it, but because there's so many zeros, your mind is like, oof,
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that. But to wholesale a $27,000 house or $27 million house, it's the exact same steps. It's just more zeros.
That's right.
People get intimidated by, well, clearly by the numbers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Sure. I mean, somebody making $50,000, $60,000 a year, and now you're telling them that they can make $20,000 in a month or in a week by flipping a house. They just can't comprehend that.
No.
Their mind doesn't work the same way.
Yeah.
Right?
It's so true. It just doesn't. And I tell people all the time, hey, listen, you got $200,000 house, you can make 20 grand per wholesale all the time. Do one a month, just one a month. Out of all the weeks in the month, do one deal a month. It's not hard to do, but it is hard for people sometimes to wrap their mind around the fact that if they can do it.
Right. How do you get them past that hurdle?
Well, if they are working with me, I basically don't give them any breaks. I'm like, listen, you're going to work with me. You're going to be accountable. You're going to knock on doors. You're going to talk to people. You're going to be on postcards. So I have this thing I call an accountability log. I make people fill it out every week and send it to me, showing me that they're actively working the business. And if you actively work the business, you can't help but find a deal.
Right.
You know that if you're acting, if you sit home and watch TV, that's another story. But if you're actually out there making stuff happen, I feel like it's almost impossible.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking to people in distress, especially even if it takes you 6 months, it doesn't matter because once once you close one deal, something in our head goes, "Hey, we can do that. We did one. We can do more." And there's something that lets go in our brain, and all of a sudden we can see the big picture.
It's the belief. Suddenly the belief sets in and says, "Oh wow, this isn't bullshit. This is real. I can actually, and I can do it."
Yeah.
Right? So once that belief sets in, then it just starts to really happen. Then the client, the student, whatnot, then they pour gasoline on what they're doing because now they believe it. Right?
I have people that get a deal in a week. I have people that get a deal in a month. I have people it's like 6 months. I'm like, what is going on? It's 6 months later. But they just get stuck by the fear. I think fear of success is high as fear of failure. Absolutely. And then people, I know you know this, people that they really want to do well, but their friends and their family are sort of naysayers. It's a bunch of get rich quick. You can't really do that. Why do it makes you think you can do it? And even though people mean well for you, they're not always your biggest fans. Sometimes your biggest fans are people like me and you that don't care about the naysayers. Like, listen, forget all that. Get rid of their voice and put my voice into your head. That's listen to me tell you, you can do it.
Absolutely. When I moved back to the U.S., I'd left New York when I was 27. I'd gone traveling the world. I was a long-haired hippie. I had dreadlocks down below my butt. I had a long goatee over here. And when I started doing multifamily, I was going into all these different networking events and, these different boot camps and whatnot to network and meet people. And this guy walks up to me and he goes, "Do you actually think that people are going to give you money with that long hair of yours?" I said, "Well, if that's what stops people from investing in me, if they can't see that, then I don't want them in my group. I don't want them in my deals." Right?
They got pink hair.
Right.
Listen, if you can't get past the fact that my hair is pink, you are not need to be in my group.
My business partner, she changes the color of her hair almost every other week. 1 week it's purple, 1 week it's blue, 1 week it's pink, and we kind of do that just to mess with people in a way as well.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Since COVID, I've had purple, lavender, shades of red, shades of purple, shades of black, shades of blue. But I got the pink. I was like, all right, you know what? I think I'm digging the pink right now.
It works.
And when I do show up sometimes to speak at an event, people, and I come in my jeans, I've got on like jeans and a shirt and, my pink hair. And they're like, was that what you're wearing? I'm like, I am. And so I've had a few people that hired me to come to an event and they were really taken back when I got there. I was like, listen, someone only needs to talk to me for 3 minutes and know that I'm smart. And if they're so distracted by that, then that's good. Then they don't need to do it.
That's right. That's right.
But I'd love to see a picture of you with the long hair. I want to see that picture.
I'll show it to you. I'll get it to you. Absolutely. But it's true. You know, the naysayers are, you know, I always tell people, find somebody who has what you want, do what they did, and you'll get what they got. Right?
Exactly.
If you're listening to someone who's never flipped a house, who's never bought real estate, or the only real estate that they've ever owned is the house that they live in, why would you take their advice?
Bingo. Why are you listening to people making $15 an hour and you want to make $20,000 a deal? Why are you listening? Because that is sometimes the people that we have in our moms or dads or brothers or cousins or friends, like that's where they're at. But you have to listen to people like me and you that like, okay, we love those people and we have them in our family too, but we went over here. So you have to listen to the people that have what you want.
Right. Absolutely.
But here's the thing. People see you need something. Oh, I want what he has. But are they actually willing to work as hard as you did to get it?
Right. Absolutely.
And that's the second thing. It did not fall out of the sky for either of us. It did not fall out of the sky for me. And people are like, oh, Dwan, you have the best life. You have houses. You have this, you have that, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, but I worked my ass off.
That's right.
So if you want it, wanting it and having it are two different things.
I remember in 2009, before I moved to Florida, I was living in Israel.
Oh, my God. I want to go to Israel so bad.
Oh, it's a beautiful place. Oh. And I opened up the first raw vegan restaurant in Israel. So that was also people going, well, you're crazy. What are you doing? You know, raw food, right? It was a huge hit. People from all over Israel came and whatnot. But the point is, when we moved back to Florida, I'm from New York originally. Right. So being out of the country for 15 years, my network dissipated. I didn't have any more contacts or anything. And then on top of that, moving to Boca, I didn't know anybody in Boca. I didn't know anybody in Florida. I didn't know what areas. So I had a lot of catching up to do. So I would spend days and days and days driving from Miami all the way to Jupiter, just driving neighborhoods, learning, focusing, walking properties, you know, getting out of my car and looking at different properties and having people come running up to, hey, what are you doing on my property? I'm sorry, I didn't realize it. All these different encounters because I had to learn. There was nothing for me to fall back on. I'm not a college graduate. I'm like you. I didn't go that traditional route. Yeah. So I have nothing to fall back on. So I have only this to do. And you know, when you don't have anything to fall back on, this is what you must do. Then, you know, there's nothing else. You have to be successful. And that's the kind of mindset I drill into the people that I work with as well. Is, you know, you can't sit there and say, oh, I'll try to do this. And if it doesn't work, I'll do something else. And that's why I have this guy behind me. Right? What does he always tell Luke Skywalker? Do or do not. But don't give me this bullshit that you're trying.
Exactly. And, you know, I feel like, because I meet people that go, well, you know, if this doesn't work, I can go back and get my job that my degree is from or whatever. And I feel like if you start off with a backup plan, that's a hindrance to success. Like for me, it was like, okay, raise this child or be at Denny's, and I'm not going back there. I only have to go forward. There's no other place for me to go. Like, where are you going to go from Denny? Like Waffle House? Like, where am I going from there? IHOP. And so I just sort of had the mindset that this has to work because I don't know what else to do.
That's right.
So I agree with you on that. People sometimes leave an out. And then I think with an out, you don't maybe push as hard, or you get a little, you know, a bump along the road and it gives you an excuse to go, well, okay, that just didn't work for me. But it won't work for everybody. That's right.
That's right. You can't give yourself that out, or else you're going to take that out.
It's too easy to take the out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was like you. I was just like, you know, when I didn't come back into the country like that, but I had the same mindset. Like, I have to make this work. I don't want to drop off my daughter at 7 a.m. and pick her up at 6 at night and give her dinner. That's not how I want to raise her. I'm not doing that.
Right.
And I didn't get married till she was 13. So I was like 13 years. I was working, doing it, buying rentals, making stuff happen because I didn't ever want to go back, you know? Then my poor husband, by the time he met me, I was like, listen, dude, I've been doing this 13 years. I've done all these deals. I've got rentals. I've got that. You better be bringing a whole lot to the table. Because I've already got all this stuff. I am not going to be somebody's housewife.
But that's also a great but that's also a great place to come from.
Yeah.
Right? When you're building a relationship with someone, that's a great place to be at, saying, look, this is what I've done. I'm not coming to you to hang on to you and to be dependent on you. I'm coming to you because this is what I bring. What do you bring? Let's do this. Let's do this thing called life together.
Together. And it's funny, my husband, and his first wife is wonderful, but she was just very traditional. She really likes, cooking 3 meals a day. She likes the housework, the kid, the forces, like she's really traditional. And when I first met her, I said, okay, I just need to make sure you understand. If you think I'm going to be doing laundry and cooking and cleaning, I am the wrong woman for you to marry. We're going to have a house manager. We're going to have a cook, a cleaner, a nanny. We're going to have all these things because I'm not doing those things. And there's nothing wrong with people that do that, but that's just not me. So I was like, you need to fully understand that if you're looking for someone like, hey, go wash a load of clothes, don't even look in my direction. That's not happening.
That's awesome. That's great. That's great. All right, we've got a few minutes left. Tell me, what advice do you have for newbies getting into the real estate field? And then I heard that you also have a free gift for my listeners.
Yeah. If people just go to dwanderful.com, and just opt in, I've got 4 free ebooks, and one's on short sales, flipping, wholesaling, some scripts, a little bit about rehabbing. So it kind of give people sort of a, hey, here's a couple fun things, and to see what they like. And I feel like if someone was really new, especially if money is an issue, they should wholesale first. But after you get a little bit of money and you're out of your job and now you're able to get yourself in a group, I think they should sort of sample the different things that are out there, because they might find out they have a real passion for something else. Like there's commercial deals, there's storage units, there's vacant land, there's construction, there's houses, there's flipping, there's rehab, there's land, there's subject twos. There's a million things out there. And I feel like for me personally, I have a few things that I really like to do more. That doesn't mean I don't do the other things, but I like these things more. If you're going to work for yourself, I think find the things that you like, delegate the things that you don't like. I delegate all my paperwork because I don't like paperwork. It stresses me out. I look at a pile of papers and my chest just clenches and I'm like, oh my God, I can't breathe. So delegate the things out, hire out the things that don't make you any money as you're going, and do what you love. Do the part of it that you love. You love the entire industry, but do the part of it that you love, so that you really enjoy every day. You look forward to what you're doing.
I agree 100%. I'm starting a book that I want to write. I want to call it The Art of Delegation.
Oh, it's funny you said. I'm just real quick. I know we have time limit here. The biggest thing for me in the beginning was delegating. And I did every single thing myself, all my taxes, all my paperwork. I would, even when I had 3 or 4 houses going, I'd go to Home Depot, get all the supplies. I was such a control freak. And I was flying somewhere, and I picked up a little book in an airport. It was just like one of those, 50-page reads, and it was about delegating. And I read that book on that plane, and I thought, no wonder I'm so tired and so exhausted. I delegate nothing. And I read that book, and I thought, okay, I'm going to delegate every single thing that I don't enjoy. And I hired a housekeeper. That's when I hired my first housekeeper. I got a transaction coordinator to do all the paperwork on my deal. I got a bookkeeper. I got a crew to hire someone to run my cruise. And I did the things I enjoyed, which were finding the deals, because I do like working with homeowners in distress, because I was that woman. And I really liked helping people learn the business. And I kind of stuck to those 2 things. And I'm telling you, I am the master delegator. And sometimes my husband's like, gosh, you delegate everything. I'm like, I know, but I don't need to do that.
That's right.
And I know how to do it. But I do believe you should learn all the aspects of the business. Right. So when you do delegate it, they're doing a good job for you.
Absolutely. But, well, in the beginning, also, people, to delegate, you have to hire people. Yeah. So in the beginning, we have to do everything ourselves.
We have to.
Right. But that's also that having to do everything ourselves also teaches us, like you said, how to do it. So when you're overseeing someone, you're like, okay, they're doing it correctly. Or, you know what, let me step in and show you what success looks like over here. And now you can copy that.
I have so many people that say, well, I'm going to hire a bird dog. That's the first thing they want to hire. It's like, well, do you know how to secure contracts? No,
Mhm.
but I'm going to hire a bird dog to do that. Now, how do you know if they're doing a good job if you didn't even do it for a year?
Right.
So I am a big believer that you need to do even the rehabbing. You know, if you don't know how to rehab, take some classes, learn what things cost, know what a good job looks like, so you know someone's doing a good job for you. But I am a massive fan. I told my husband, I said, listen, you can delegate anything you want except for me.
That's
I
true.
do not delegate it off, and neither does he.
That's
But
true.
it's hard to do for people. I mean, for me anyway, it was very hard to let go. Plus, now you're hiring someone, so now you're responsible for somebody else's paycheck. So you can't just schleck off for months on end. This person is getting paid.
Right.
So now it's like, okay, oh, now I'm doing houses and I got an employee. But I'm telling you, man, delegating is, I made my first million after I started delegating. I could never get to that because I had too many other things, too many tasks. And I couldn't get to like the giant money because I was doing everything.
That's right.
Delegating makes you more money.
Absolutely.
You know, quote that in your book. Dwan said, delegating makes more money because it's hard. It was very hard for me. Even today, I still find myself a little bit one to micromanage. I'm like, no, I can't, nope, can't do it because then I'm back in doing everything. I can't do it.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Awesome. Dwan, this has been a fantastic show. Thank you so much. I've had a lot of fun. It was great information. How can people get a hold of you?
Just dwanderful.com. I'm on Facebook at Dwanderful, Instagram at Dwanderful, TikTok, Dwantastic.
Awesome.
I'm everywhere. Nitzan, thank you for having me on. I'm so excited to meet you. Next time I come down, we're gonna go have dinner.
Absolutely. So are you in Florida now?
I am. This is my house in Florida. Yeah, Lake Ida is right out. See the doors? Lake Ida is right there.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be at Uncle Mike's today in Boca in Federal. It's a nice little bar right by my house. So if you want to come and, we can have a drink together.
Yay. Thank you for having me on. And thank you guys for listening too.
Absolutely. And thank you, travelers, for being out there and listening and supporting us. We're going to be here next week, same time, same channel. Who knows where on Spaceship Earth? But I look forward to having everybody on the call, on the show. Again, next week, we've got Bailey Kramer. And also, don't forget, you can pick up my $7 perfect money raising system right now, where I teach you and I show you on my perfect money raising system how I go out and raise capital for all of my deals so I don't have to come out of pocket. I'm also doing my BOGO, buy one, get one group coaching. So if you sign up now for the group coaching, you pay for, May, you get June free. I'm also doing a referral program. So if you join the group coaching and you refer people and they join, for every person that you bring in, you get a free month as well. Until next time, I'm Nitzan Mosery, the traveling investor. Travel well, travel safe, and I'll see you somewhere on Spaceship Earth. Take care.